What's up, everybody? It's Alex, Trader's Retreat. Today, let's go over Bitcoin real quick, and we'll go over ETH. Just a couple things now that we have the weekly close coming up in, at the time of this recording, actually exactly 5 hours. So, all right, so that means it is 3 p.m. Eastern, or just about here on the East Coast of the U.S. All right, so a few things here to keep in mind. Last week I put out a post about this. Figured I'd do a video this week. We have our weekly demand here. I'm going to move this. Just get that out of the way for a minute. So a couple of things, I guess, take a look at first, right? If you look here at price action, before we had this big drop, the last demand zone, okay, that really stood out was this one here. This was the weekly demand. Okay, it's your lowest bearish closing candle, dominant for this level of price action. So around this 33,000 mark, right? Anyways, the point being, right, we knew this was confirmed as demand because you could see on these candles here, where price came down, right? Buyers stepped in, pushed us back up. All it means is there was liquidity here, and that the buyers were dominant. It's an area of struggle. Obviously, you can see in this area, you can see this on the big push up. It was one of the first spots. Well, it was the first pullback really after this massive run to the upside. And it, created this area. But anyways, this is what stands out. This is where we get the signal from now. So confirmed multiple times. This was the first weekly candle here. This was on, what was that? May, the first week in May, actually, in 2022. And the first signs that we were going to go lower was that we closed inside of the zone, right? Buyers didn't step in hard enough and actually bounce us back up, which had happened months previously. So, that candle was the first indication, but again, we wait for the confirmation, right? This candle fell through. That gave us our bearish close, and we even got the retest. Granted, it took a few weeks later, not a big deal, right? That's why it's important to have patience. And, and you can intraday trade a lot of this, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking for these longer term signals when you're looking at the weekly, wait for the retest. It will come most of the time. So, or it'll get very close. So we had 2 weeks of retest here, fell off a cliff, right? Needless to say, this retest confirms this zone yet again as an area of liquidity that sellers are now in control of. And lo and behold, when we pushed up last, you can see here where we closed, or where our price tested to the highest point. It was right to this level here. Now, it was, could have been very easily 31.8. Actually, let me tell you what it is. What is the high of that candle? The high was 31,862.21 on the Coinbase Bitcoin to US dollar right here. So anyways, my point being, rejected this area of liquidity. It's key weekly liquidity zone. The retest has rejected price multiple times. And here we are pulling back. Now, this has been holding, okay? This is your weekly demand in this area. Then you have another demand here, and you have final area of demand down here. We can talk about that when price gets there, if it gets there. What we want to wait for here is, we've been watching this kind of bear flag pattern set up. You can see how we continuously bounced inside of the zone. We could not get a close below it, okay? We dipped underneath it on the, throughout the week, but when it comes to that weekly close, I remember last week pulled right up, closed just above it. So this week it's kind of hovering here, right? It's been kind of a nothing burger week for Bitcoin. A lot of short-term intraday swings, that's fine, or intraday plays, that's no big deal. But yeah, a lot of chop, right? So we're coming up on another weekly close. We are sitting underneath it by about looks like 200 points. We know that as price kind of gets, after the futures open up for US futures, they will open. Potentially that could help kind of dictate where Bitcoin's going. This is setting up almost like a bear flag, but it's almost a hammer. It's better said to be a hammer on glass, right? You can see this support down here. And again, if I zoomed in, I could find I could find a daily zone, and zooming in further, I could find more and more zones. But my point is, or the signal we want to wait for is this candle close. If we close underneath this, wait for the retest, right? We want to wait for price to come push back up, retest this liquidity, just like we were talking about here, right? Same type of idea, retest it, and then your target, your overall target, which may take a couple weeks to get there, would be this demand zone below. So just keep that in mind, right? This would change the pattern as well. This is an uptrend as far as I'm concerned. And if this continues to hold, if we end up pulling up, we hold inside of it. Again, it's not a bullish signal, but when we switch over to ETH, we'll check it out in just a second. You can see that ETH is actually sitting on top of its demand zone, a little bit more in a bullish setup. But again, price is just, I mean, it's been everything they can do to keep it from falling and closing below these levels. So yeah, keep an eye on that. If we do close inside of it, right, we want to see price trend up, and eventually we want to see a weekly close above this zone. That would give us our bullish signal. It would be, you know, again, I'd rather see things rally. I don't know, I think US equities will. It'll be interesting to see. So this is a very tight price action here, and it's right on the line. So keep that in mind, guys. That's what we're looking for, right? That's 25,937 spot 02. So at 8 p.m. Eastern time, see where we close. All right, let's check out ETH real quick, and then I'll be done. No. This is the one we want right here. All right, so what has happened here? Very similar situation. Zoom that in, move this out of the way. All right, so, we had our supply zone here. We attempted to get back into it. Fell down, came down, touched this demand zone. And again, this is a demand zone because in this area, right, in this level of price action, the most recent, I guess you could say, below price, this is the lowest bearish closing candle here. Now, this thing wicked down. Did it wick into the body of another bearish candle that's dominant? No, because the next one's down here. And again, and I know that this did not wick into anything, so I can zoom out. And, I can see here, the level that went down to is just into the body of this bullish candle. So what that tells me is this is going to be our main demand, kind of top of our range. Bottom of our range. This is going to be our supply. This is the top of our range, and we're kind of in that center point. Again, you can see that same bear flag pattern setup, little less hammer on glass, but definitely a bear flag. What we have done here is we've held we've managed to close each week over this 1629 spot 44. Again, so as we come up on this weekly close, watch to see if it's going to be back above or below. I do feel like if it closes back above, at this point we should see a move to the upside. It could take another week, but we're just running out of, you can see this thing consolidating, right? You're running out of room. It's going to break one way or the other, and it may break to the downside. I mean, I do think we're going to see lower prices on ETH and Bitcoin just in due time. But anyways, if this breaks to the downside, if it closes, I should say, to the downside, the next step would be a weekly close below the support level. Because we've held up here so well, I do think we're probably going to see, if it closes underneath, I think we'll see probably a bigger move down. But yeah, keep that in mind. Again, that lower end of that zone is 1515 spot 25. So your targets would be, the zones below or above. There are intermediate spaces, spots here. It just depends on how long you're looking to hold, what type of trade you're in, that sort of thing. So anyways, let's see how it plays out. Hope this helps. Check it out. Again, it's Traders Retreat. There's info in my bio if you're interested in joining the Discord. But mainly just, like and share this out, and I appreciate it. Get the word out. All right. Take care, you guys. Thank you. And let's see what futures do when they open, because it's going to be an interesting week. Lots of data. I think we're ready to rip, but we're either ready to rip or we're ready to break down pretty heavily. So we shall see. Take care. Thanks.